It's Thursday, March 9th, 2017. We honor Joe Thornton's 1,000th assist. We would have done it with half of, topless in honor of Joe, but we didn't want to offend anybody. Plus, we want people to subscribe. So welcome to this edition of Pucknology After Dark, following a 4-2 Sharks victory. And yes, hell has frozen over. Joe Thornton shot the puck into the net. No, sorry, he passed it into the net. So with that being said, welcome in. Pucknology After Dark is presented by Audible, an Amazon company. With a free 30-day trial, you can search up to 180,000 audiobooks, and you can keep one for yourself, whether you continue using the service or not. Log on to audibletrial.com/PAD. You get a free book. You help support the show. Everybody wins, like the Sharks tonight. That's audibletrial.com/PAD. Also, don't forget to interact with us. Use the Twitter hashtag PucknologyAD. You can follow us on Twitter. Tonight you have at PuckGuy14, at ChrisJWS, at Eric Landy. That's right. Landy and his laundry are back. And I think I see AJ Strong in an Uber. We'll get to him in just a jiffy. But of course, make sure you subscribe down below or to the side. This is your live interactive Sharks post-game show after every game. For more news and opinions on your beloved San Jose Sharks and your San Jose Barracuda, visit pucknology.net and follow us on all the social media channels down below. With that, hello everyone. I'm Eric Cura alongside Chris JWS.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Hi. Well,
What's up, guy?
I passed the puck into the net, man. And returning from a sabbatical of chemonucleosis, it is the one, the only Eric Landy.
Yes, me, my nucleosis self, and my laundry make their return.
Is the laundry healthy? That's all we want to know.
The laundry is healthy.
As long as you're not getting mumps from the laundry, that is fine.
Laundry is like first-line center around here.
Yeah.
Hey,
laundry is center of the future, okay? Once Jumbo retires.
Top prospect.
Top prospect, laundry.
And joining us in an Uber on the way home from the game, Mr. AJ Strong.
Hi, guys. Not actually an Uber. I'm actually driving because I didn't drink anything tonight, so I thought I would drive myself.
So he's broadcasting from inside a tin can.
Yeah, pretty much.
It actually sounds better than my old connection. That's crazy. Jeez. We'll drive safely, get home safe. You're checking in after leaving the arena. What did you take from tonight?
I really wanted to get a little Happy Gilmore on it and just go, the Sharks learned how to power play.
Yes.
And you know how I love to beat on my power play drum, and that was the difference tonight. The Sharks learned how to power play. If the Sharks don't score on 2 power play chances, this is very easily a 2-2 tie into overtime. So I'm going to beat that drum like a redheaded stepchild. Other than that, I'll be the first one to admit that I was a little skeptical about having Hansen on the top line with the Joes. And so far, there seems to be a little bit of chemistry going on. That feed from Hansen to Thornton was a very Thornton-esque goal. And Logan Couture with one of the sickest backhand goals I've ever seen in my life. Aside from that, decent amount of Caps fans actually had a couple behind me in line to get into the tank that were 2 of the nicest people I have ever met. And that seems to be, I don't know about you guys, that seems to be a common thread. Whenever I talk to fans that are wearing the opposing team's gear, they're all very nice people. When I go to a Giants game or a different other sport, the fans of the opposing team, maybe not so nice, but, and hey, these weren't Canadian people. They were actually from Sacramento, but they were Caps fans. Some of the nicest people you would ever want to meet. Other than that, I know they called a sellout. There were a few seats here and there, but overall, really good game, good energy. It was very tense early on. We all saw what the Sharks did versus the Wild, best team in the West, and this time they were facing the best team in the NHL, and they got it done. Very tense early on, but once they got that lead, the tank was into it and rocking. So with that, it was a good night. Got some good goodies. Drew me a Sorensen mystery puck along with a Joel Ward mystery puck. And we might see something interesting happening later this evening. I will let you all know. But with that, thank you very much for allowing me to check in, and have a good night, guys.
Thank you, AJ Strong. Did I hear it?
Good work, sir.
Yes, good work. Please get home safely.
Get home safely, and real quick, we have about 40 or so people watching. If you are new here, we do this every post game, so hit the little red button or else. Oh, actually, no, I'm not threatening. I'm never like that. But, I highly suggest hitting the little red button because we do this every post game, and I think you'll like it. So
yeah, and you know what? The little thumbs up also works wonders too. Quickly before we get into it, we have a game went final. LA wins in overtime against the Nashville Predators 3-2. That just went final.
That just went final. So
or no, that's not a good thing. I don't know. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because at this point, LA is kind of out of it in the Pacific.
Oh, I'm calling
can be
them.
a little
They're
scary
out.
in the wild card. I don't know which one I really want to win in that case.
I'm calling them out. I don't think they make it this year, even with the new moves.
Well, I think we bow to you because you were the one who called Sharks in 5 last year. So there's that. But throw it back to Puckeye here because we are way off. So let you tee up the game here and let's go.
Gotcha. All right, so Sharks win 4-2. Kind of reel us back in a little bit and go over everything that you saw tonight. The first period at 5:26, former Shark Daniel Winnick has post-teal syndrome, scores from Beagle and Wilson to make it 1-0. That fourth line looked really nice for Washington tonight, and it was very impressive. Nearly a little over 3 minutes after that, Joe Thornton actually passed the puck into the net from a nice pass from Yannick Hansen, who picks up his first point as a Shark, from Martin as well to make it 1-1. Landy, I'll start with you. I thought that the Caps kind of dominated this game early.
Yeah, and it was interesting because you saw DeBoer initially line up fourth line for fourth line, but you saw that matchup actually quickly shifted. Boy, I tell you what, every game that we get closer to the playoffs, Haley looks a little bit overmatched, and he was definitely dragging along on that fourth line tonight. And I think the other person that was the weak link in that fourth line was Ward. He made a couple of key blunders in his defensive zone, and luckily Jones, was there to bail him out, but 2 really bad giveaways in the defensive end. That fourth line was not good tonight.
Chris, what did you take from the first?
Early on, I think Caps definitely put on some pressure and good response from the Sharks. I mean, just looking at kind of how the activity went, it was kind of like Caps early, then Sharks, then Caps quite a bit. And the Sharks did, they aren't a team anymore that's going to beat you in a track race. They are a team that's going to have to hang in there and not get completely beat. And I think that's what they did overall tonight. But especially in the first, they did not let that first goal change the full game. They just kept at it.
Well, I want to pose a question to you guys, and this is something that I've been thinking about for a little while. Is it the fact that the Sharks players are declining, or is it the fact that the system kind of stifles the creativity a little bit? I think it's a little bit of both.
Yes.
And I think that this team can still score, but Peter DeBoer is known for sucking out creativity from his teams. He has a very rigid structure, very puck possession oriented. What that means to different people, just basically they want to be on the puck, want to be forechecking a lot more than doing east-west passing. And so the creativity goes down, possession goes up. Is that a better style of play? I don't know. We've seen Stanley Cup winners with that style. We've seen Stanley Cup winners play east-west. I don't know, but I still think that this team's got a lot of talent. I still think that they match up well talent wise against a lot of teams. I think it's just that they're adapting to the system.
I would say most of the best teams out there, most teams that won the Stanley Cup, play strong possession above all else. So I mean, I think it's some of each. It's some that there is some age decline because Joe Thornton playing in the same system is not the player he was a year ago. You can see a decline there, and maybe it's fatigue as well. Maybe he has bounced back quarter of the season. Maybe he has bounced back next year, but I think that's part of it. That's definitely part of the equation, and I think that DeBoer, yeah, you're right. The DeBoer system is definitely not the most creative, but puck possession does win over the long haul. The team with the puck on their stick, even if they're not the most creative team, tends to win because East-West, that gets you turnovers and that gets you a lot of missed opportunities. At least that's my take.
And Skylar brings up a good point. You take a look at LA, Chicago, Pittsburgh. I'd even put Boston in there as well. All very strong possession teams. However, I will say this. Chicago and Pittsburgh are definitely more of a hybrid because they can beat you flat out in a track race with talent, but they also play very strong possession-wise. I would say the flip side would be Boston and LA. They're both very puck possession dominating. Talent-wise, they're good. I wouldn't say they're elite. I wouldn't say that they're Pittsburgh or Chicago level elite, but they're definitely good. But I think the thing that we also have to see amongst all of these is look at the back ends. Highly mobile back ends and very much break it out very quickly. So I think that we can kind of see a common thread through that. I think that that's why the Sharks are pushing a lot of success because the blue line has definitely adapted quite well this year.
Yeah, and you also got to look at it. You know, you're not missing too much of a beat with DeMello in there instead of Schlemko. I thought DeMello played a pretty good game. There wasn't
very simple. Well,
yeah.
it was a very simple and very just quiet kind of game. Yeah. And I think that that's what you need right now. You know, when you've got a guy he's a little bit more of an offensive kind of dynamo, but when you've got a guy out, it's better to have the simpler guy kind of fill in for him versus a guy that's kind of a carbon copy of him. So I definitely rather have DeMello than say a Heed or a Mueller or anybody else that they could bring up from the Barracuda.
I think DeMello's done a very admirable job kind of filling in there. And you know, maybe we give him Schlemko too much credit for Dylan's rebound year because Dylan has been a lot better this year, and I have not seen a big drop off with Schlemko out of the lineup. Like it seems like I think maybe Dylan has really taken a step forward. I mean, he's still a bottom pairing guy, but really, I mean, we know from the days of Alexei Semenov, number 5 and 6 are very, very important, and they can cost you very dearly in the playoffs.
Oh, and you know what? I mean, I think that they said it was probably 10 games ago, maybe 12 games ago, that Dylan spent the offseason working on his skating. And it's definitely translated to a quicker up pass, definitely translated to him getting out of his own zone a lot quicker. And I think you've seen it in the last 9 games, or they were saying he was a +5 or +7 in the last 9 games. I think it was +5. Had a -2 tonight, but I mean, you're playing against the Caps, and they're pretty high flying, so that's going to be against anybody. But he's definitely earning that contract a little bit more in my eyes this year than he has ever before.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and you know, if we're on the subject, you know, I think this is a good thing to talk about overall is how they contained a fast team like the Caps. Like, how does a very quick team like the Caps compare to, you know, Minnesota Wild or the Oilers? Like this is something kind of I said, like if you look at how the Caps are playing tonight, they play fast, but were they pressuring the Sharks as much as a lot of other teams have? That's always seems to be what the stifles the Sharks offense is those teams that the second you have the puck, they are on top of you. They aren't just kind of skating at you, kind of stick out each way. They pounce on you and say, okay, you have to pass it right now. Did you guys think the Caps were different in that respect, or do you think the Sharks adjusted better to the speed of the Caps, I guess?
I think overall the first two lines really did neutralize each other. So I think from a defensive perspective, you definitely had the 1 and 2 lines cancel out. It was definitely a battle of the third, fourth lines against each other, and then special teams. And so, is that a combination of the Sharks adjusting and the Caps kind of just continuing to play that same style? I also happen to think that the Sharks are pretty well versed against Barry Trotz coached teams. They know that system. They used to pick apart that system when they were against when he was in Nashville, and
Oh seven.
yeah, exactly. So I just think that this is a good matchup for the Sharks. It kind of always has been, and I think you're just seeing more of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Before I'll toss to you a second, Puck guy.
I'll get
Is that it's the thing I've had all year with the Sharks is like, can they handle those teams that are super fast on top of them? And my impression tonight, as much as I really want to give the Sharks more credit, my feeling is like it's a system, like you said, it's a system they know well,
Yeah.
and maybe they are turning a corner. I could be wrong because there's a lot of positives come out. I'm not trying to poo-poo all over this. it's that the question is, can they handle those teams that are constantly saying, we will force you to make the pass to the open guy, and we are more confident you will make a mistake before you score a goal. But that said, hey, 2 power play goals tonight. I think 2. Was it 2? Because one of them was right on the dot, but whatever. Essentially 2 power play goals. A lot of positives. I'll toss to you, Eric, and let you give your take.
Yeah, technically speaking, it was 2 for 5 on the power play, although in the second period, Joe Pavelski got one just as the power play expired at 2:32 from Burns and Thornton, where he barely tipped it. I mean, it took a friend of mine, Christina, saying that you could barely see Pavelski's stick kind of vibrate once it tipped it. I barely saw it. That made it 2-1 Sharks at 2:32. At 14:40, Brett Connolly ties it up off a nice assist from
Nice
beautiful
sauce
sauce pass from Kevin Shattenkirk, their new acquisition. That made it 2-2. But but the 2 power play goals that Logan Couture had, both of them were pretty nice. 18:04 from Bernsey and Marlowe. And that made it 3-2 going into the third period. Definitely found their groove, and they definitely showed that they could compete with the Capitals tonight. And throughout, again, they sweep the season series from Washington, and
did they sweep the season series last year? I think they did.
I think they did. Yeah, year over year, they've consistently beat the Capitals. Like if you look at the last 10 to 15 years, they've had ownership over the Capitals.
You're right, and that's why I tend to agree with you, Chris. Just that as much as you want to use this as a measuring stick kind of game, it's not. And it's just because you look at the underlying statistics against the Caps. I think they just know them. They know their tricks.
Well, for what it's worth, and here's another thing, that the Sharks also owned Pittsburgh for a long time, and it's the deceptive thing. It's one of those interesting, we've seen these anomalies. Buffalo owns, in cross conference, Buffalo owns the Sharks.
Yeah.
The Rangers own the Sharks. The Sharks own the Capitals. The Sharks own, or largely have owned, Pittsburgh over the last 10 years. It's kind of it's like weird things like, and then as we saw in the playoffs, it doesn't necessarily translate. We can only read so much into it because these teams are not that familiar with each other. But I absolutely say this is a positive. We saw positive things.
Mm-hmm.
I just want please do this for a few more games so I can say this is not a mirage. This is not the power play is starting to do things better. Because I honestly thought, okay, they're directing more pucks on net. They're not looking for that one extra pass. That's just Please, guys, please,
No.
can this be the turning point?
Agreed. And I think the other thing too, just kind of going through the schedule, if we can just peek really ahead for those games that I'm looking at to see if the Sharks are really for real. It's going to be against Minnesota on the 21st. It's going to be against Edmonton and Calgary. Because look, you're going to either face Edmonton or Calgary in the first round, and those teams, I mean, personally, I'm more scared of Calgary than I am of Edmonton, only because of the work ethic that Calgary always puts in. They always seem to give the Sharks fits. They seem to do okay against Edmonton. They know the Todd McCullough system. They're not scary to me yet, only because their back end's a little weak. But man, it's going to be Calgary, and the other one that's going to be really interesting too is the Rangers when they come into town on the 28th. But those 4 teams, those are who I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, you are going to see either Calgary or Edmonton or Anaheim in round 1, and realistically, you're probably going to see the other team in round 2. So you're going to be getting very familiar with the teams that you're going to play likely in the first 2 rounds in the upcoming weeks leading up to the end of the regular season. It's going to be very interesting.
And very reminiscent of Sharks battles of yesteryear, when we were playing Calgary and Edmonton very consistently in the early 2000s, late 90s. It kind of harkens back to that Battle of Alberta, that's actually finally relevant again.
Yeah, no, definitely. To finish out the scoring, Logan Couture on another power play, his 23rd of the year from Burns and Pavelski at 8:05. Sharks with 2 power play goals tonight. They definitely banged the drum for AJ on the power play. They did lose the face-off percentage, but that seems like that's the good thing for them lately. I don't know. Logan Couture gets two goals tonight. Joe Thornton a goal and assist. Pavelski a goal and assist. Burnsy with 3 assists, which puts him at 70 on the year now, which puts him in tied for second in league scoring. So the Sharks are now 5-1-1 in their last 7 games.
Shoe-in for Norris. Yeah. Was it just me, or were those last handful of penalties dished out? Those just like the one Couture scored on, as much as happy as I was he scored, I thought that was a weak call. I thought the one that followed it was a weak call. And I think there's one more that followed it. That was like, it seemed like there's a whole sequence of like,
yeah, let me put
that's not a penalty, dude. Come on.
Let me put this in perspective for you guys. There was 10 penalties called tonight.
Yep.
That equaled to 20 minutes. That was an entire period's worth of penalties tonight. Some of them were ticky-tacky. I mean, at the very beginning, I did not like a lot of the calls that were being dished out. It seemed like it evened out in the end. I mean, it kind of always does. But yeah, it was a Tim Peel-led officiating crew, and we all know how inconsistent he is.
Yeah.
No. It was like, I'm not saying it was against the Sharks, because I thought like there were calls, like actually the worst ones I thought were like for the Sharks. Like bro, I would be upset if that went against the Sharks. Like, so it's more just general gripe, not I think you're right. It evened out. It was just like some of those calls, like, what? That was not, no, come on, really? No, don't call that.
Yeah, no, the one I had the biggest gripe on was Paul Martin got a holding call, and then you look at the replay, and was it Fiegel was holding the stick, and the worst part is that was happening right in front of the referee. I mean, come on.
Now, and I mean, I don't want to put a conspiracy theory out there, but it is Ovechkin.
Not going to put a conspiracy theory out there, but he's going to put his tinfoil hat on.
It is Ovechkin. It is Ovechkin, and the NHL does love to see him on that on the half board, teeing up those one-timers.
And to be real, there's that goaltender interference call, which we've seen get called against the Sharks.
Oh, yeah.
And Ovechkin drives into Jones and gets absolutely nothing. So, as much as we can gripe on it, and this will probably be it, So probably be it. Yes, I know. There you go.
So Landy, could you give us that little bit about Ovechkin again? Really? Could you?
Yeah, not that I want to put a conspiracy theory out there, but I do. It's Ovechkin and the power play. The truth is out there.
Yes.
All right, enough.
This vamping is too long. Come on, X Files, really?
Oh man.
Go the hell, guy. There he goes.
There you go. Very nice. See, that's
Yeah.
production value you wouldn't get anywhere else, folks.
Yeah, that was brilliant production value. Well, actually, no. Brody literally had the exact same thing where he was like trying to play a song. He's like, "Damn it, get to the part I want." Like,
Yes.
literally today on Facebook. Yeah. Is it called the Bro Show? I don't know what it's called.
No, top 3, I think it's called. With
Top
free.
3. Brody, we love you. You get back on Pucknology After Dark.
But wait,
And
guys.
by the way, hey to everyone out there, all 50 of you, love you for being here. Hit that little red button, do us a big favor there. Or if you are not new here, hit the like button because we're awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please subscribe down below. We do this after every game. Go ahead,
And guess what? We passed 420.
Oh yeah. We thank you.
Yeah.
We thank you for all the
I'm totally not a
subscribers.
stoner, but I'm giggling like I am.
Yeah, greetings from Cali.
Chester Chivo in the chat earlier was saying the Sharks have won 40 games in 12 straight seasons, not including the lockout year of 2013.
No. 12, 13.
That's what I'm saying. Not including
That wasn't
the lock.
That wasn't the lockout year, though.
It was
Yeah, it was.
12-13 was lockout year, yeah.
Yeah, that was the 48 game season.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, no, I know for sure because
Oh, I blacked that.
that was the year I lived in Minnesota, so I remember. But yes.
Yeah.
I blacked that. out.
Did they win that many games in the year they missed the playoffs?
No, really?
Did they?
I
Okay.
think they were like 40, 30, and 12 that year that they missed.
Okay. Skylar in the chat says, "Weed out," all caps. Like, yep, we are all massive stoners in this show. Oh yeah. No, I'm kidding. We are not. None of. I don't know.
I think we could all mostly say that we partake in the drinking a little bit more, but
Yeah,
hey,
I don't
to
know.
each their own.
Yeah. Who knows? But yes, yes. We have over 420 subscribers, and you should be one of them.
Yes.
Let's talk about Martin Jones tonight. 25 for 27 saves on the night. I thought he played another exceptional game, especially a big matchup going against Braden Holtby, who saved 20 of 24 tonight. He had the goalie matchup. I mean, this was touted as a potential Stanley Cup final matchup. And guys, I'll start with Chris first here. I think the Sharks have all the confidence in the world to go against these guys if it were to go that far in June.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Here's the thing, though. I think when they say, hey, this could be Stanley Cup mashup, both fan bases are like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, because we both are a little jaded, even with the Sharks' appearance last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe we have that slight bit more confidence. Like, yeah, we've seen the Sharks actually do that and get that far, but who knows? And I don't know. It's really the teams that scare me. The Caps don't scare me that much.
No, I
That's
totally
the
agree.
thing. Is
totally
the Caps? We know what they are, and I talked about like on the last show. It was a recent show. I said I think there's a changing trend in the NHL of there's more teams that are playing that pressure game. More teams that are saying we would rather you have a open hole and force you to make that decision quickly than to let you try and pick us apart. And the Caps aren't that solid team. The Pittsburgh was last year.
You know what? I mean,
I don't know.
To me, the two teams in the East that scare me the most, Boston and Pittsburgh.
Really, Boston?
What about Columbus?
Columbus, we've seen the Sharks play against Columbus. We've seen them beat John Tortorella-style teams before. They don't bother me. It's Boston and Pittsburgh because both of those teams and their puck possession style do not mash up well against the Sharks.
It's not just the puck. It's like I said, the pressuring. Like when you have the puck, they will force you to make a fast decision. You don't get
second speed, I think. Yeah.
And Skyler puts in the Wild. Look, until we see Devin Dubnyk in the playoffs, I'm not 100% sold on him yet. Out of the West, I think the only team. I don't know.
Honestly, I'm a Wild believer. Like I think they are the best team in the West. If I'm totally honest, I mean their biggest hole to me, looking at them, is their backup goaltending, which has cost them a number of times. But Dubnyk to me is legit. I've watched enough of them. They are so deep at center, so deep at forward. They're like the Sharks were a couple years ago, which is how deep they were down the middle.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. I think Minnesota is the team that I look at and highlight in the Western Conference. Chicago doesn't bother me. You've seen the Sharks play a really solid game this year against Chicago, beating them, I think, 2-1 both times, or beating them 2 out of 3 times. But yeah, no, Chicago doesn't really bother me. I don't really like their depth. Nashville, again, not really liking their depth. Calgary is that kind of sleeper that I look at. Edmonton, I don't think it's their time yet. St. Louis doesn't bother me. They're kind of neutered. So really, I mean, I think it's going to be Minnesota who's going to be the Sharks' biggest threat in the West. And in the East, like I said before, Boston, because man, they lit up the Sharks both times they played them, and Pittsburgh.
I haven't looked at the standings recently. Is Boston still in the hunt, or
Boston's
no?
in? Boston's in
Boston's
the Atlantic
in right now.
Yeah.
At one point they were doing
recap that
very
in
poorly.
just a
So
jiffy.
yeah. As far as the Wild go, though, Jessica saying in the chat, I have a little bias. Like, hey, just because I watched more Wild than most people do. But if you want to check out stuff about the Wild, go a few videos back here to my little interview with Joey from Brave the Wild. He's a very good guy, knows his team very well, and we'll probably have him on at some point, especially if the Sharks do play the Wild in the playoffs. He will be on here for sure.
Great segue, Chris. Great segue.
We are professionals here.
At least we try to fool people that we are.
I only play pretend doctor.
We are making massive amounts of money doing this because we're so good at it.
Yes.
So good.
So
we're the best. We're fantastic. It's huge. We're so tired of winning on Pucknology after. Okay,
we're so
back to you.
We're so good. We have 50 live viewers.
Hey, thank you so much. And if you just joined us after Postgame Live went off the air, thank you for joining us, and subscribe down below. All right, guys, let's go around the league. It was a busy Thursday night in the NHL. See what happens when Drew Weber starts writing for us again. The Carolina Hurricanes come out of nowhere.
So
Drew,
glad
good to
Drew's
see
back.
Yes, good to have you back for a little bit there while he's on away from school. Carolina 4, Rangers 3, the final there. In Toronto, a key playoff battle as the Flyers are trying to get back into the race. Toronto 4, Flyers 2. Steve Dangle, by any chance you're watching this at 1:53 a.m., thank you, and congrats to your Leafs. Minnesota lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-1, although the Lightning lost 3 players, including Tyler Johnson, to what looks like a knee-on-knee hit from Nino Niederreiter. So that could be a devastating blow to any chance that the Lightning have for a playoff spot.
Shout out to our good friend Matt Salmon from the Lightning.
Yes, absolutely. And he also does the Tampa Bay Storm, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, he is their director of broadcasting for both.
That's right. Coming up, we will have arena football talk at our intermission report. No, never. Just kidding. If you were at the game, there's an inside joke on that. Thanks to CSN.
Yeah, you mean talking about football for both intermissions when they cut the studio? Thank you. What the hell's his name?
Thank you, Feldman and Matt Mayoko, because I really wanted to hear about the Niners fucking up.
And the Raiders, too. And the Raiders.
And the Raiders and Alden Smith effing up.
Yeah, I was like, Alden Smith got drunk and did something again? Oh, I'm shocked. Next thing you tell me Joe Thornton passed a puck when he had a wide open shot.
Hey, like
Anyways,
I
let's not. Yeah, let's not.
let's keep going because until Kirk Cousins is on the Sharks power. Never mind. Anaheim 1, Chicago nothing. Anaheim shuts out Chicago in Chicago for a huge win there to get them that vaults them back into second place. By the way, Landy, I sent the standings graphics to the DMs.
Okay, I will be on that
Yeah,
now.
slid into your DMs with the graphics there. Graphics with an X and another X.
Colorado has gone on fire, folks. Watch out for the Avalanche. They are still technically mathematically alive as they beat the Devils 3-2.
So you're saying there's a chance?
They're not dead yet?
They are not dead yet.
Why won't you die?
They are not dead yet. They still technically have a shot. And I say that very loosely.
Well, so you mean like I still have a shot with Scarlett Johansson because she's back on the market, but that's not happening.
Yes, that's not going to happen.
She does not dig guys who can't do their own laundry.
Oh, wow!
You're out of it.
The tribe is Calgary 5, Montreal nothing. As the Flames light up the Canadians,
they set them on fire. I mean, Calgary's on fire right now.
Yeah, they're living up to their
Flames. Name. The Flames are on fire.
They're on fire. They're out of control.
But they're Flames, aren't they supposed to be on?
They're supposed.
Yeah, like if you're not on fire, you're kind of failing if you're the Flames,
right?
But that's beside the point. And do you have any more, Puck Guy? Or do you...
Yeah. There's a couple more. It was a really busy night for Thursday. Ottawa 3, Arizona 2 in overtime. The Islanders win 4-3 over the Vancouver Canucks. See, you probably missed that, Landy. And of course, like we mentioned earlier, the Kings beat the Predators, the Sharks' next opponent, 3-2 in overtime. Back to you, Chris.
Well, with that, yeah, I mean that's that. I don't know. Again, with the Kings and the Predators, I think the Kings are out of it. The Predators worry me because they've underperformed all year for how good they are. But this is where we should bring up the standings. Go to Landy. Landy can focus on his own little screen there and talk about the Sharks
all right.
in the lead here with 87 freaking points, about to get another 100-point season and go.
I'm waiting.
Go.
Shush you. All right, hold on.
You got it.
Yeah, I'm going. All right. Yeah. All right.
There you go. All right.
And
so
there it is.
So there's the whole Western Conference race. Sharks are at 87 with 16 to play. Anaheim's win leapfrogs them over Edmonton to second place in the division at 80. The Oilers are at 78. The same with Calgary, who holds them a first wild card at 78 with 15 to play. Note here, although if you look at the division standings, Calgary has more.
Rose.
Thank you. Drink, Gen X.
Is Gen X in the chat tonight? I haven't seen him.
Yeah, he's in the chat tonight. And poor thing, he probably needs a drink with the little guy every now and then. Let's see. So in the Central, you have the three same ones going right now. Minnesota at 90, Chicago at 89, Nashville at 75, and St. Louis at 71. You have a race like crazy right now where you still have a bunch of teams still within striking distance. You have the Kings at 70. They stay 1 point back of the Blues. Winnipeg, even though they've lost two straight, are still just 5 points out, although they're running out of games. It's actually Vancouver at 65, not the Stars. My bad on that.
The Ducks also have 15 games remaining, not
16. I think we grabbed the wrong graphic. That's okay. My bad. That's on me. The Desert Dogs are at 54, and then the Avalanche, pretty much the next time the Blues win or the Avalanche lose, they're eliminated from postseason contention. But
yeah, they were eliminated a while ago.
In other words, if the season ended today, your matchups would be San Jose, Calgary, Edmonton, Anaheim, Minnesota, St. Louis, and Chicago, Nashville.
So, a question here: is it just me? It's felt like the Sharks have been so underwhelming for the last 6 weeks or so, but somehow they have a significant lead in the division, and somehow they're up there. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just like we have such high expectations, and me too. Is it just me, or am I the only one who's felt like the Sharks have been a little underwhelming?
So, I'd like to start off with this one. I think the Sharks are better defensively, and I think that's why it seems like it's more underwhelming. That's what it is. That's what it looks like to me.
And they've been playing more defensively sound. I mean, look at just Brent Burns by himself. I mean, Burnsy has been playing so well, and they've bought into that defensive system while still having some offensive capability. But I mean, that was the whole thing with Brody talking about the Sharks scoring 5 goals, throughout the year up until January.
That was one of the silliest things. Still,
Yeah, no, it was dumb. And I mean, just looking
but,
at
but
look at the defensive metrics. I mean, the Sharks are third in the league with goals against at 154 pucks. Goals for, they are now in the middle of the pack. They're 15th with 184. So, you know what? They're getting it done defensively and offensively. They're fine.
yeah.
You know, I think it evened out. I'm not too worried about the offense of this team. I think if this team, gets their butts in gear with that power play and they spend some time on it, they're going to have some games at home. I think that this team will do well. I think it'll do well. They've fixed the home issues that they were having. So you know what, getting home ice in the first round will be good for them. And I mean, just overall, I think that they're just playing sound hockey. I think that they're playing in a way that's sustainable into the postseason because, let's face it, we've seen flash in the pan teams that have done really well in the regular season, but come playoffs, when that game just buckles down, they just can't adapt.
Yeah, they definitely seem to have their thing in tight games. I guess my two key worries, and I think they're both justified by the numbers, is situation where one, the Sharks, there's a lot of power plays going both ways. I am worried that they lose that battle, and I think that's pretty well justified and backed up by the numbers. Although the penalty kill has come around, I think Hansen will help that a lot. The other one is if they get down by 2 goals, they don't seem to have that gear in them that does well coming from behind. And maybe it's just my memory not pulling up correctly, but they have not come back from big deficits a lot this year. They don't seem to have done that very often. And it's not something you want to do that very often, but
how many
seems
times
like
have they been down by all that much though?
A good number of times. I mean, there's been at least a good handful. I know, obviously, the Wild game comes to mind, but like down by 2 goals, it definitely seems like that's a pretty big deficit for them. And it feels that way. And I need to maybe go back and look at the numbers, but it definitely feels like they have a hard time coming back from 2 to 3 goal deficits. And not many teams can. To be perfectly fair. Not many teams can.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at. I think the two things that I had kind of beaten the drum about that I wanted to kind of go over again was face-off percentage and goals for. I think that those two things kind of go hand in hand. I have no stats to back that up, but last year they were very high in the face-off percentage, and their offense seemed to be clicking really well. The year before, same deal. And then the other thing that's also kind of an offensive kind of health metric that I look at is shots on goal per game. And the Sharks right now sit in the middle of the pack at 30.3, and they're normally very high. I mean, in the Todd McClellan years, they were high 30s, 35, 36 shots on goal a game. So, I definitely think that it's the DeBoer effect and just the way that system is orienting around this team. And I'd rather have it this way, to be quite honest, because if you've got the defensive game, that's really what's going to carry the day in the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think because that's the thing is like I think it's come back around. Like they had a moment for their in mostly in February where like their defensive game kind of had a little lag there. Martin Jones giving us some soft goals. They were giving up a lot more 2-on-1s, but lately it seems like they've been more defensively sound. Martin Jones has been better, and it might be partially a product of the teams they're playing too. It's
I
yeah,
think that
it's
break. I
so
think that
hard to
break.
predict.
I think
Yeah.
that break came at a really good time though for this team. I think it's far enough removed from the playoffs that they can get back into gear and then really get rolling. But it also afforded Jumbo and Patty just that extra time to rest. And for 37-year-old guys, you cannot say enough about that.
Eric,
No,
you have any thoughts on this before we move on to my jumbo boner?
no. You guys pretty much filled it all in. So go ahead with your Jumbo boner.
I just want to say, greatest shark in sharkery, all of Sharks history, Jumbo Joe Thornton, 13th guy ever to 1,000 assists. I mean, give it up for this guy. I mean, is there any case to be made for anyone else as a better Shark of all time? Even Patrick Marleau, for all he's done for the Sharks, Thornton. I mean, I'm just like, he hasn't been as good this year. I mean, it's astounding what he's done in his career, especially given the era he's played in.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the era he's played in. You look at the quality of wingers that he has uplifted. He made Jonathan Chichu a Rocket Richard winner. I mean, literally. I
A
mean,
50 goal scorer. I mean,
yeah,
that's wow.
yeah, and not only that. I mean, like you said, he did it in an era when offense was down. Most of those guys on that list are '80s wonderkins. 80s and 90s wonderkins. I mean, Jumbo just came onto the scene when the 90s were starting to fade out, and really the high flying 90s were starting to fade out. And I mean, he legitimized this franchise. I'll put it to you that way.
Oh yeah, but I'll mention Randall mentioned the team still focuses too much of the power play around 19. But I thought the power play tonight was way better. It had more movement, which I've been begging for. And I thought part of it was because of Jumbo. I mean, almost like as a decoy of sorts tonight. What do you guys think?
So real quick before we get on that, in the chat, a lot of people pointing out that top 100 list and what bullshit it was. And
Oh yeah.
I see. Here's the thing. I'm not going to gripe too much about that because the people who griped the most about it were the Pierre LeBruns of the world, people who know the game, who are like WTF guys. Like as Sharks fans, we don't need to gripe about that because
there's
it was
other,
griped about by people who have all kinds of cred in the world.
Yeah,
saying,
exactly.
What the hell, guys? So yeah, we as Sharks fans, we can let them carry the torch for this. We don't have to do that.
No, look, I mean, and if anybody has any doubt, I mean, the guy's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, I don't know, he won't be unanimous, but he'll be damn close. He'll be damn close.
Who would you rather have on your team in their prime? Jonathan Taves, Toes Taves, whatever, or would you have Joe Thornton?
From a pure offensive perspective, Joe.
Yep.
From an overall package perspective, it's very close.
I mean, there's no argument to it, but yeah, like in terms of just like if you look at their whole careers, like to me, like yeah, I would rather have Thornton to build a franchise around because Taves, as great as he is, has benefited a lot by the players around him. Yeah, which is part of the equation.
And you just wonder, had the Sharks been given that first overall pick and Jumbo had been a Shark through his entire career, I mean, just where the franchise would be. Would the franchise have already won a Stanley Cup? I mean, would, things have been different? I don't know. I don't know the answers, but I do know that you have both 19 and 12 now, and, those two, when they both retire, they'll both go up. They'll both go in the rafters, and they'll be Sharks forever.
No doubt. No one else should ever wear 19 in a Sharks uniform again. Just, I mean, I absolutely have the biggest man crush on Joe Thornton, not just because he has swag walking around Pittsburgh with his shirt off, but dude is he's a generational player. Like, he is the best passer of his generation. There's no question.
And he's a good guy. I mean, he's not an asshole. He's just down to earth. I mean, just a good guy. And you know what? I'm so happy for him, and so happy that he's done this in Teal, and he's done it for San Jose. So
yeah. So I have friends who work at like Valley Christian and a lot of the local private schools. I know which Sharks are assholes, and Joe Thornton is not one. So I know. I'm just saying I know because I hear these things. But yeah.
All right, Eric. One last thing before you start the wrap on the East. Brent Burns vaulted into second place in the point scoring race now. He's got 70 points in a 6-way tie, but still second in scoring. Guys, I mean, I think it's going to be a thing. I think we might see the first Hart winner as a defenseman since Chris Pronger. Real quick, you guys want to cast your votes on that one?
I think he makes a great case.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, he should be nominated and should be considered big time. If he doesn't win the Norris,
there's no way.
If he doesn't win the Norris, that is the easiest case of East Coast biased, where it actually be East Coast bias or whatever. Like, yeah.
I mean, it's almost you have to look for two guys to go up against.
I mean, the guy has 260 shots as a defenseman. 260.
Yeah, he's up there like with Ovechkin in the numbers of like shots taken and shot attempts. And I think the case for Hart
he leads all players. All players. The next closest is Tyler Seguin with 250.
Wow.
I mean, so the case for Hart, I think, is though among playoff teams, who is the most like, because I know there's a normal thing of like, you can't be the MVP if you are on a bad team. And right. I get that. Among playoff teams, who are the guys who are like, without that guy, that team is screwed? So you have Burns, and I would say you have McDavid. And is there anyone else really?
Kane. I think those three.
Yeah, I think
McDavid, Kane, and Burns. And the only reason why I wouldn't put Crosby on there is because Malkin's tied with him in points.
Yeah, Malkin, and they have a lot of stuff going on that team.
And you know what? You could make an argument for Brad Marchand as well, because that team, you know what, doesn't have a lot of high scoring forwards. Brad Marchand, I think, is quietly, well, not quietly, but he's just putting together another good season.
Yeah, no, he's kind of taken over from Bergeron, who was usually like the Bruins' go-to guy for scoring.
Mike Nevis, you make me laugh in the chat, but I'm not reading that on air.
All right.
Oh, jeez. So we mentioned the East earlier, so I wanted to quickly go over that. Right now, the playoff matchups would be Washington against the Islanders, thanks to that overtime win against Vancouver. They kind of leapfrog Toronto. Columbus and Pittsburgh. Man, that's going to be a fun series. I mean, it almost looks like that's going to happen for sure now.
Please, Columbus beat Pittsburgh, please.
The Montreal would play the Rangers, although the Rangers have more points than the Canadiens. And then Ottawa, Boston. I totally want Toronto to get into that number 3 spot so we could have the Battle of Ontario. But yeah, so you have those. That's the situation in the East. I mean, that's going to be crazy. Unfortunately for the Metropolitan Division, you're looking like a crash course for Washington versus Columbus or Pittsburgh, and a very good team will go home in round 1. And personally, that's why I can't stand this format.
The first 2 rounds in the Metro though are going to be epic.
It's going to be a bloodbath. Those 2 will be a bloodbath, and you're going to have 2 really, really good teams go home in the first 2 rounds that shouldn't be.
Dr. Jackal is asking for more football talk in the chat here. I don't know if we can do that.
No, that you can check for everywhere else for
all
that.
All right, take us home, Eric.
Yes.
One other thing, real quick, also,
Sure.
pointing out in the chat also that Jumbo's interview with KNBR wasn't so great. His interview with 95.7 wasn't all that great either, because both of them just aren't really like, hey, let's talk about anything but hockey when we're talking to a hockey player. So, hey, Jumbo, if you're watching this, I would love if you are. Come on here. We will be cool with you. We will interview you. Please do so. That would be awesome. But I know you are not watching. No, a boy can wish. Back to you, Eric.
No, wait, which one?
It's Eric is you. I'm Landy.
Okay, all right. I had to make sure.
Eric bracket 0. With the Rays, we start at 0, not 1.
Yes.
Right.
Computer science talk.
Nah. Oh no. Technology after dark. We're in trouble there. With that, we will let you get out of here. Make sure you subscribe down below or off to the side. Make sure you hit up Pucknology.net for all your news and opinions on your beloved San Jose Sharks and San Jose Barracuda. Good to see Drew Weber kind of coming back in for a little bit. He wrote a recent article there. Pucknologist dropped off a great episode yesterday, so definitely check that out. Don't forget, Saturday at 1 p.m., you have the Sharks and Predators. Not as a shameless self-promotion here, at 6 p.m., the Barracuda will play the Grand Rapids Griffins. Yours truly will be dropping the ceremonial puck before the game, as the Barracuda will wear the jerseys I inspired them to have, I guess. Not exactly quite completely my jersey design, but I guess they're giving me credit for it. But hey, tickets still available if you want to go see Barracuda, and they've been playing great hockey, and pretty much now every youngster on the Sharks organization is now with the Barracuda, so definitely check that out. We will be back with you on Saturday.
Did we mention they're good too?
Oh, they're very good.
Very good.
I mean, like I've teased Ian with it before. It's like, okay, so what happens if the Sharks are in the Cup final and the Barracuda are in the Calder Cup final? Do the Barracuda have to play a Calder Cup final game at Sharks Ice?
Oh, yeah, that would be pretty.
They will make it work, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
All right.
So afternoon delight between the games. I think we're doing something. We're trying to figure out the logistics, but we might have something special after the Sharks and Predators. And if you missed any of this, you can always catch it on the replay on the YouTube chat, or if you want the audio edition, make sure you hit up SoundCloud, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, MySpace. I don't know if he's got the Tumblr up yet. Zynga, Adult Friend Finder, apparently. I don't know if we're on Tinder yet, but maybe we will.
Swipe right on Pucknology.
Yes. So,
can we please end this?
With that, we will see you on Saturday afternoon. Keep it real. Keep it tight. Keep it real tight. Welcome back, Landy.
Yay.
Subscribe.